Where is she sitting? Is she sitting in my room, wondering why I'm not free right now?
Oh my goodness. Mom, are you kidding? Everything Mom's doing...
And then getting upset because when I sat down on my bed, I sat down on her paperwork.
She doesn't own a fax machine.
And welcome to a very special mini midweek episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where we are going to discuss the first two episodes of Game of Thrones. And
sorry, was that you incorporating music into the show so we could hear it?
Yes, that was the best I could do. And what I would say is that, many podcasts, they jump to give you their reactions right away to these things when they air live. But in reality...
You're pretending this is a strategic move?
Yeah, no, I'm joking about it. I'm like, but we waited a full 2 weeks.
2.5 weeks.
So if you were looking for the most immediate, most obsessed with Game of Thrones podcast reactions, this is not for you. This is for the everyday listener. This is the podcast of the people. This is
for normal people who catch up on things 2 weeks later and don't actually have time.
Here's my problem with this. Okay, fine, but here's my problem with this situation is that I don't know anybody but Becky who didn't watch these shows on time.
I didn't watch them because Becky didn't watch them on time. I would have watched them on time if we were all watching them on time.
I have to tell you, it was so much more satisfying watching the 2 episodes at once. And at this point, I've been waiting a year and a half. What's an extra week?
I know. I'm just saying that. I feel like
I gotta tell you,
passe for people who listen to this podcast.
Listen to this. I could just wait the 6 weeks and watch them all in one sitting.
I watched one of the seasons a year late, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Now, all this being said, let's start with, we're going to treat them almost as if they are one episode. The first third of the last season. Becky, what is your overarching reaction to where we are now in the show and what they've given us with these 2 hours of television?
I feel like they have done justice to giving to not giving closure to each character in each storyline, but I feel like bringing it full circle and making me feel very satisfied, because one of the things I have loved over the course of this series is the mashup, the friendship mashups and alliances that have taken place, right? You have Brienne and Jaime, but you also have Brienne and Sansa, and you have Sansa and Tyrion and Daenerys, and Daenerys and Jorah and Tyrion. You know what I mean? All the crossovers that have happened. Arya and the Hound and whatever, the light people.
The Knights of the Magical Light, which is actually the tagline for a TV show called Visionaries, a cartoon in the 80s that I used to watch. So
okay,
I just called
thank you for that point of information. And so what I love that, but over 7 seasons, getting to the 8th season, you kind of forget that all of those things have happened. And the last 2 episodes have reminded you the expansiveness of the journeys and the incredible character development and friendships that have formed. So I feel like they've really I don't know, they've done right by the viewers in that sense to bring everybody.
I feel like they've also given the viewers what everybody wanted to see was all of these guys at a reunion weekend at camp. There's some hookups, there's some bickering, there's some fake girl friendships, and then there's backstabbing a little bit.
Right, and everyone's staying up all night talking.
And everybody's staying up all night talking. Exactly.
So
Nobody
this is
wants to go to
winter
bed.
convention.
Exactly. Yeah. This is at our camp
camp reunion.
It's like a Jewish summer camp reunion.
Right. But mid-year reunion, because we had reunions 3 times a year at our camp, which was amazing. And so we always had one in the winter. That's why it really
very midwinter convention. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's how I as far as a third of the way through this final season. Right now, I have loved.
Is the fax machine actually working now?
Mom is definitely faxing something. Yeah. No. She just printed something. Yeah. Well.
Another room.
From another room.
There's not enough toner left. You're gonna have to print that page when you go to the fax store.
Lily, What was your overarching reaction? I agree wholeheartedly with you, Becky.
I agree
I have
with
more tone.
Becky.
I'll do it later.
Becky, mute yourself. Still a podcast. I agree wholeheartedly with Becky. The mashups and the bringing together of the mashups, like the fact that I forgot that Jorah was the Wall's boss, that guy that like dies.
Oh,
That gave
his
his
son.
Dad. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
his
that's
dad.
his dad.
And then you have Sam who saved Jorah.
His dad, who he's basically the same age as.
Right.
They're both so old.
Yeah, exactly. And but that I remember, but I didn't remember the sword.
Hold
That,
on,
like,
I'm
and
going to
now
put
it's
myself on
coming-
mute and take a work.
And so now it's. I mean, she doesn't have to tell us she's putting herself
Right,
on mute.
exactly.
She can
She
just
could've
put
just
herself
said-
on mute.
Right.
Like we can see her.
Even better.
Anyway.
I can mute her anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go back to muting her on command.
So, if I may, I forgot about the sword. And so now you have Sam, who not only cured Jorah and knew his dad, who disowned Jorah, like giving him the sword of his father. Like, that's really like bringing it full circle. So I liked that. I just want to say that I was a bit like, and I want your opinion. Was it the series always this funny with like that many
I
quippy comments?
noticed
Like, what is
that-
it, a dark comedy now?
I noticed that too. They a little bit Star Wars,
bit.
Star Wars: A Force Awakens, Last Jedi'd it up a little bit.
A little bit, right?
And I think in some ways, well, I think this is part of the evolution of the show, which is that they've
moved away from
accepted
the book.
now. Forever the show I felt like was way too much built on anyone can die at any time. This is extremely dark. And, hold your back from loving any of the characters. And then at some point, they started giving us characters that we really love. You cannot not love Brienne of Tarth. You cannot not love, what's his name, Tarragon, her boyfriend, the guy that likes her, the giant boob,
Oh, Tormund.
the suckler.
Tormund.
Tormund the suckler.
Right.
You can't not
No,
love...
right. When you thought he died in season 7, everybody was sad.
Yeah, everyone was sad, but even then I was like, at this point, they brought the Hound back. So
Right.
so in a lot
They're
of...
clearly saving all the deaths for the end.
But in general, they've softened. I think in general they've softened.
Yeah.
But I also think, and they've allowed in some of this more Indiana Jones, Star Wars action adventure style humor that I think actually helps you love the characters quite a bit. But it does kind of take you out of, if you go back to the original
That is
tone of the
100%. Because I, as much as I enjoyed it, like I'm not complaining that it was funnier. Like, the comedic relief, like Sam is pretty funny in this episode. But I was like, okay, wait, when did you get so funny?
So
Like,
here's the other piece of it that I'll give you. I actually think, though, it's a massive emotional release. Like, when something just really awful
Right.
happens, or you're watching
Right.
a movie, I'll think of it
well,
like,
it makes sense that this is coming towards all of their like imminent deaths. Like Missandra, I can never know how to pronounce her name. It's the Daenerys' like right hand woman.
Sunday.
Missandei and her boyfriend, like they're just like making out in public. I feel like they would never do that, and it's like caution to the wind. We're all gonna die.
Well, it's a little bit like what do you do at the end of the world kind of situation,
Right.
because
So it makes sense that things are a little bit more loosey goosey.
and I think in some ways, and this is again, I don't know what the artistic integrity of this is, but they're winking a little bit at the audience. They're
Yeah.
giving you the fans. They're giving the fans kind of everything that they would have wanted from all of these characters getting together.
Which brings me to the magic carpet ride of A Whole New World with the Aladdin scene in the first episode of the season, because when I listened to the little thing that the creators, like the breakdown of the creators say after, they were like, we just really wanted to give the fans that moment. And I'm like, okay, that might have just been for the two of you, because that was a bit much. But I can see that they're really, I hope they don't overdo it. They obviously are really trying to make everybody happy.
And I would say part of why, so this is my cynical side of why they're making everybody happy. this is not the end of Game of Thrones, right? They're about to do a spin-off, and they're about
Prequel, is it?
a prequel, yeah. And these guys are about to get a Star Wars franchise that they're going to work on with Rian Johnson. I think they can just get rid of Rian Johnson, by the way.
And get back in the mix.
He's getting his own trilogy. Anyways, my point is that it's possible also what they're giving us these character payoffs.
Doubling down on that.
Because they want us to be sad when this is over and miss them. If it was all awful dread and terrible behavior and murder nonstop in this season.
Right. It always brings me to Sons of Anarchy, a true show that to the very end never compromised, was so brutal. You really didn't know who was going to live or die. It was like one of those, the few shows where you're like, you know that the main character who's beloved might not make it, and then they leave you with that show being like, I never want to see another episode again. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I loved it, but I'm done. We know you're back. We can see that you're back. You don't have to.
I'm sorry.
That's
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I feel like you're right. With this show, they're making it a little bit, lovable so that you want to go back for more. Whereas I think Breaking Bad too, that ending of Breaking Bad is so brilliant. It's one of the best endings of any series of all time. 100%. I feel like everyone agrees who's seen the show, critics and everything, because again, it's true to it. It is, although they have Better Call Saul, they really embrace like the best, like funny character, but the actual story of the show, it's done. Like people don't want it. It's so brutal and so honest and so true to it. This, I think you're right. They're going to make sure that people want to keep going.
Yeah, and I think, and also I think because the show relishes pulling your heart out of your chest, the other thing they're giving the fans is they're making you fall in love with these characters one more time before they do some truly heinous things to them.
Right, but do you think they're really going to have the guts to do something bad to all these characters?
I don't...
Yes.
Well, we'll get to our predictions in a moment, but before we...
I mean, if they're good writers, they will.
Before we go ahead to our predictions, Becky, Lily mentioned the Whole New World flight of Falkor, which I am not taking credit for coming up with that. I saw a really funny meme of Jon Snow
Falkor?
mashed up with Falkor.
Really? I need you to send that to me right now.
What did you think of that part? Do you think it was a service to the fans, or do you think they were like, we got to spend some dragon money on this episode?
No, I think there is a certain sliver of fans who's really invested in that relationship and wants to see some like cutesiness and Jon Snow being cute. Oh look, I'm scared to fly dragons. I think it's in service to fans. My only problem with it is that there's very little real estate.
They might get sued by Disney.
No, there's very little real estate. We have 6 episodes, and so every moment of screen time is precious to me. If we had 8 or 10 or 13 episodes, that would be a fun, cute scene. But with 6 episodes, I get that what you want to show me a few things. He's learning to fly a dragon. Okay, that better come up in the next episodes. We
assume he's going to jump on one of those bad boys.
Right. There's little love affair. Okay, we want to establish that that's still happening. I don't think it was pointless. I just think it was a bit silly.
I think you make a good point, though, Becky. If he jumps on a dragon during the battle, I'll feel better about that scene.
I would also say the character value of that, although it's a really expensive way to show it, is that one might view that as also proof that he is in fact a Targaryen.
It is. No, that 100% is.
Right? Because
even when the dragon snuggles up to him when they first meet for the first time, the dragon's like sniffing his butt. That would only happen if he was a Targaryen. So like the fact that she didn't pick up on that, only Targaryens can ride them. So like I'm wondering like how dumb is she?
Right, because she seemed like in denial when he told her that they were related.
And like neither one of them mentioned the fact of like, oh wait, remember that time I rode one of your dragons? Hello.
Well, I think it's gonna all click for her.
I assume it will, but I think Becky's also right on another point about real estate. And like when they had that scene with that little girl that's like, I want to fight, and they're like, why don't you protect us? I guess
they had
just
like 3 or 4 people that wanted to fight that had to go to the pit, but not go to the pit.
The crypt. The pit.
I think the crypt is gonna.
But I guess it was because you want to see Gilly and like that other guy. with the beard who's so nice. Kind of say a few lines. You don't want to just like not have
Davos?
them. Yeah, Davos, thank you. Like not have them not do anything. But again, I was like,
Also,
really?
they need to tell us where people are going to be during this battle.
Right.
So I do understand. Yeah, we need to know, because I would assume Davos would be fighting. So it's good to know that he will be in the crypt. And when it comes to Sam, he could go either way. He could be fighting. He could be hiding.
Oh, you mean characters, not extras. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
characters. I need to know where all the characters are going to be. So
Right.
all
Okay, I
those
see what
things
you're
are
saying.
important, and you can't just have each of them come up on the screen going, "I'm going to go to the crypt during the fight." So they're just working in like a little scene to give you that exposition.
And also with the kid with the scar on the face and Davos, they're referencing. They're actually, for someone like me who has complained a lot about what I felt has been like things that felt pointless earlier in the series and like needlessly like painful to watch, I feel like they are actually tying them up with the whole Becky gun in the first act, gun in the last act situation.
Except Bran, that guy is so boring. Oh my god, if he doesn't start shooting like lasers out of his eyes, I'm gonna be super disappointed.
No, but even Bran.
I love how weird he
more
is.
like Bran.
Bran Stark.
Even Bran. What's the conclusion?
He should put a name tag, not Bran Stark anymore. Enough.
The conclusion of the first episode of the show, right? Like, this is a show that clearly is going to go back to the pilot. It's going to go back to that first episode. Him and Jaime Lannister reuniting in
I thought
that
that
scene.
was pretty cool, and I like what he says to him. He's like, "If I killed you first," and he's like, "What about after?" Damn. Damn.
And also, like, you wouldn't be here had I told anybody back then what you did.
Right, exactly. And Bran might not have
I
become
don't
the
know why
three-eyed
Mom
raven.
has to be cleaning up and putting things in my room like right now. Like, I love that she wants to help me clean up. It's so helpful, but it's just the timing is so interesting.
I was not trying to disturb you.
She just wants to be on the
Okay,
podcast.
let's get into some predictions. So I would say in general I agree. My main
Oh wait, can we just before I forget about the Bran Muffin kid? He isn't it a little bit too Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, that the Dark Knight or Night King touched him and now he can find him anywhere?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
Like,
let's list the things that are taken from other. Like,
I mean,
Wait a minute. I'm gonna tell you how it makes sense.
I know.
Night
yeah,
King
because that's the rule in Lord of
What?
the Rings.
No, hold on. The Night King commands the whole army of the dead, right? So anyone that's dead, he is a connection to and can control. Bran, because he's touched him, he hasn't turned Bran into a White Walker, but now he's like poisoned him a bit. You know, the way that Benji is like was half and half. You know what I mean?
Is he?
Benjamin.
So it kind of makes sense if he can control all the White Walkers. If he's like injured you or put his mark on you, that he'd be able to like not control you, but at least have some sort of connection.
Benjen, Uncle Benjen.
Benjen, sorry.
Uncle Benjen.
Uncle Benjen.
Guys,
The Stark's uncle, who
No, we know who he
They
is.
pretend they pretend comes back in order to kill Jon Snow, but then he actually comes back later.
saves Jon Snow.
Yeah, he's
I don't remember what happened to him. We're not good at this podcast then. Except we like
Okay,
real
let's
fans.
let's not get lost on the characters that are. Look, there's certain things that have paid off, and then there's certain things where, like, I have a question: is anything happening right now relevant to Renly Baratheon?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like stupid. Exactly. Becky's like, who the hell is that?
Isn't he dead?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
he's dead. But
you spent a
what was
lot
the
of
whole
time on
point of
Renly
all
Baratheon at one point.
that? Right.
We did, but that was really about Marjorie.
Oh, okay, all right, that was interesting.
That was about establishing Marjorie and her brother, which
Just
then
another
became a
question.
big part of the.
Where's the red fire lady?
Oh yeah, what happened to her?
I don't know. Maybe she'll come back.
Find out. I thought she didn't they banish her from
Right. And she just
Castle
pieced
Black?
it out.
Yeah, we don't know where she is. Or maybe we do know, but but the three of us don't remember.
Because we're not that.
I don't think we should be doing this kind of deep dive.
Right.
Into it.
All right.
I should just be doing reactions.
If we don't remember a character, we can't talk about them. Let's do some predictions here, okay? My first prediction question for you, or more just like prognostication question, is which character do you personally emotionally need to survive? And then give me the percentage of which you think they will survive.
Brienne, I think is the only one I need to survive. Like need.
I'm gonna
I'd
give you
like
a
to see-
20% on that.
And she's gonna survive, you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you like a 20%
You really
on
think
that.
she's out?
I think Brienne is the kind that they would kill just to show you that they can do it. Like, just to be extra mean, they'll kill her.
And then they'll let someone like Jorah survive just so you're annoyed that you're like, but I'm like, I don't really give a shit if Jorah lives or dies.
Jorah's
And-
toast. I give Jorah a 3%
Yeah.
chance of
Yeah.
making it out
No,
of...
but I'm saying is that I feel like he would serve, because you know how like there's always like those characters that you in your heart don't feel like they deserve to be, like if it was between you and Brienne, but then they like let the less important character survive also just to torture you. Do you know what I mean?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Hound's not making it out.
I feel like I need... No, Hound's definitely making it out because he has to fight the mountain.
Oh,
What are you
right,
talking about?
yeah.
Hound's
Maybe
you're right.
are we talking about the next episode or in general?
No, Shy
No,
means
think
the
of the next
entire
episode.
show.
I mean,
No,
The
Shy means
entire
the...
show. I can only do the next episode. Who's going to
so you
survive the
think Brienne
battle?
is going to die in the next episode, Beck?
In the Night King?
I think she's not going to die in the battle. Here's who I have dying in the Night King battle. All right, here's who I have dying in the Night King battle. I've got, what's his name? Definitely Old Man Davos. He's toast. He's
Yeah.
going to die defending the little children, making up for the fact that he didn't defend the little
Didn't
girl
save that,
who
yeah.
got burned
done.
alive.
Agreed.
I think probably Grey Worm. You know, this is the end of the Unsullied, because
Yeah, because they had to really lay it on thick about them running off into the sunset together.
Exactly. And I also
And
think
he also almost died once already.
I also think if Daenerys isn't going to get turned into a zombie creature by the Night King, which I feel like I've seen some theories, or I've tried to not read articles, but I feel like I've seen articles where the headlines imply that, like she isn't going to become some sort of servant of the Night King. I think that she needs to be weakened a little bit in order for there to be some kind of true alliance between her and Sansa and everybody else, because she in her mind is too powerful and she has too many loyalists around her, and I think we have to see what she's like without her amazing army and probably without her dragons, although I suspect one will survive. I think the ghost dragon, I think the Night King, by the way, dies in the next episode. I think this is it for the Night King. I think they have only so much money to spend on White Walkers. They're going to blow it all in episode 3, and then the last 3 episodes...
So it's one battle episode on episode 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 are the rest of the who gets to keep the throne.
Because Cersei is staying out of the battle, which means they are really saving her as the final big bad
Villain.
of the show,
Yeah.
which to me is actually not what I thought was going to happen. And
Me neither. I thought
I'm
this...
pleased because...
Me too. I thought this was going to be 5 episodes leading up to this big battle. Then this was going to be the last
it's
episode
more
of the show,
interesting this
and then
way.
we'd never know what was going to happen.
Also,
That's what
how
I
much
thought.
do you hate when a show brings in a new bad guy in the last season?
Right?
Oh, I hate when that happens. Justified did that. Like, I would always rather have a retread of a previous bad guy in a final season than some just sort of new person. And also, like, if you look at the history of the show, Cersei really is the worst person in the whole show.
She is.
She is the worst. She's the most powerful. She's the most scheming. She has no magic powers, no dragons, and she's the one sitting on the Iron Throne. She is absolutely evil. And I thought it was a great moment when...
When he says you always knew who she was.
Right, when...
You loved her anyway. That's
When
great.
Jaime talked
so
about
true.
Cersei fooling him, and Tyrion said she never fooled you, always knew who she was. That was a great moment, and I think there's good odds. I guess everyone kind of thinks Jaime's gonna kill Cersei, but I don't know how much. I don't know how much more Jaime we're gonna get. I guess you have to see the 3 Lannisters again.
He's pretty
together.
broken.
But I don't think he's broken enough to kill her. I want to believe it's Arya. I want Arya to kill her.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Well, Arya
killed
would be
his
good.
dad.
So do you think then Jaime maybe... Okay, so I'll go with a theory where Jaime dies saving Brienne, but Brienne doesn't make it to the end of the show.
Correct. But I definitely feel like I need Arya to make it to the last episode.
She's not. She's not. She might make it to the last episode, but she's not getting out of.
I don't know if
season.
she's making it out of the series, but I need her. I need her to.
I was wondering if her assassin people she turned her back on will come back and get her.
No, she made her peace with them.
Remember the Terminator episode?
She gave them what she owes them. They have no beef with her. They wanted a face for the wall, and she gave them a face. That was it.
I thought she had beef, that she steals a bunch of faces and pieces out.
She took one face.
but she gave them a face.
And then she steals the Terminator's face. That woman who is like the female Terminator that chases her through town.
Oh, yeah, that's a great scene.
That was a great episode. Okay, so all right, let's go through family likelihoods of survival towards the end, okay? Or groups. So, okay, Lannisters. We got 3 Lannisters left, 3 major Lannisters. Do all 3 of them make it? Do one of them make it?
Tyrion's gonna make it.
Might make it.
I think he's gonna make it. Yeah, he's gonna make it.
I feel like it'll be Tyrion and Sansa. That will be from the 2 branches who survives from the 2 main branches.
That is I agree with you, Beck. And to me, Sansa is the person that I have now from like probably my most hated character to my most loved. She's the one I need to survive because I feel
I don't
like
care that much.
I feel like she in some ways is Cersei, but a good guy version of Cersei. And she's
it's pretty amazing.
Hell of a lot smarter than Daenerys. Sansa has had none of the advantages that Daenerys had, and she's the Lady of Winterfell. That's all I'm saying. Jon Snow would be absolutely dead if Sansa didn't make the sacrifices that she made with Littlefinger and that little kid's army in order to win the Battle of the Bastards. Mm-hmm. So, to me, Sansa is my, like... And Arya I like, but she's so scarred now that I'm not sure she can... If she dies...
What do you think about the fact that, like... I'm not that I wanted her to be asexual, but the fact that, like, they really opened up her character in a way that, like, made her have a sex scene... Is it to soften her to us to like have us not?
I don't think there was anything soft about that scene.
I actually feel like it was giving her another dimension of empowerment. So much of her empowerment has been about fighting and killing, and I feel like her making that choice, having it be on her terms in a very adult way, was another dimension to her kind of transitioning from little baby Arya season 1 to fully fledged adult in season 8. And I totally can see why that's an important scene and one that they felt the need to put in there.
And also, if you look at Arya, to me, this is a kid who has survived like horrific things, right? She is, a true person who has survived war and civil war and horrible abuses. And I think what they're also showing us is that she has grown up quite a bit. And even in the way how when she was younger, how she was always talking about her list of people, and she was always so quick to lose her temper, and in this case she's quiet. She doesn't brag about how many people she's killed. When Jon Snow asks her, "Oh, have you killed anybody, or have you used that?
Have you even
once
used
or
it?"
twice?" She's like hacking up. I mean, they don't even know she's the one who killed Walder Frey. I mean,
no,
who betrayed them. So for me, that's a big thing. Okay, now the Greyjoys. Let's talk about the Greyjoys. We've got Theon and his sister and the uncle.
The sister will survive.
If we're lucky, sure.
Theon definitely is going to die defending Bran. I think that's such a great way for him to go.
To me, the sister retreating when she did means she's going to come back and help them take King's Landing. I think that's where
exactly. They're saving her for the King's Landing fight, for sure.
So they can kill her uncle.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but not least, Lily, who's your Starks? We've got 3 Starks, and then sort of Jon Snow.
I think Sansa's gonna survive. I'd be shocked if Jon Snow survives. I feel like when a character's already died once in a show, then by the end they should probably die a second time.
Did you guys discuss whether or not Bran's gonna make it? I know we.
I mean, isn't he just gonna become a tree?
Yeah.
No, but then he has to pass the memories on to the next 3-eyed raven.
Okay, so then he stays the Raven. I could give 2 shits. I'm not invested in that storyline. I mean, I don't like if he is all-seeing and all-knowing everything. I feel like he could be a little bit more helpful on having them fight.
Mystical.
What about Samwise Gamgee?
What are the rules?
And Gilly? Do you think...
I cannot imagine them killing that family or anybody from that family. They really gave it to us tough when they killed his entire family. He got upset about it. I feel like he's coming out alive.
That was a horrifying scene.
To me, part of what I look for is which characters do I think George R. Martin thinks are like his like connections to the show, meaning who he sees himself as, and to me that's Tyrion, Varys, and Samwise Gamgee. And I feel like those
Varys is for sure living. That guy is
that guy nothing. He's like a cucker. He's gonna kill him.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's where we are.
Wait, Mountain Hound brothers?
Mountain Hound. I mean, the Mountain's gonna die. Whether or not it's the Hound or who kills him or Arya who kills him.
It has to be the Hound. The Hound has to kill him.
Does the Hound die?
Yes, he has to die.
Yeah, he for sure dies.
Honestly, one of the weakest moments in the show was somehow the Hound surviving being like stabbed and infected and left in the woods by Arya. No one else would
have
survive.
That guy from Deadwood save him and then die, and then he's like a super nice guy now, the Hound.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, that was like a little too much playing to the cheap seats.
I love that he became, he evolved like Jaime evolved. I just felt like the way they did it was maybe a little lazy.
Yeah. To me, so he's got to die. It's like you said about Jon Snow living and coming back. Like the Hound, if the Hound survives,
you have so many chances.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going on to the next episodes where we will try to do further reactions. Do you guys have any other Game of Thrones things to say before we head out?
I just want to say that so far I'm happy. My expectations were pretty low because I was like, often they, shows shit the bed with the last season. So, look, if I don't walk away hating it, then I think it's great. And I'm just like pumped to see the dead dragon fight the two alive dragons. And I'm not into special effects and stuff like that, but I'm really excited about those dragons.
I feel like they've set the bar really high with these first two eps, and I hope they can keep it there because it was a strong start.
For someone who has been rooting for the end of this show like me, the fact that they went so heavy on such good character episodes, it's like gotten into my heart, and I'm like, oh. I just get annoyed that I had 3 seasons of not liking the characters, and now I'm like, oh, it's going to be over now?
Yeah.
Well, if I had to recommend this show, I'd recommend seasons 6, 7, 8 directly.
Yeah, season 5 can just be forgotten.
Be lit on fire. So I feel like, the last 3 seasons when they've moved away from the books,
and I'll say one more thing. So Kit Harington, you don't really see him do. I don't know how much we see him do outside of Game of Thrones, but the other thing that I've seen him in is he actually voices one of the characters in How to Train Your Dragon. So in the 2 things I've ever seen him in, he is a rider of dragons.
A rider of dragons.
Cool.
I'm not sure how
maybe it's a rider in his contract. I will only do movies where I get to ride dragons.
And if anybody's listening to this who has not read up on the fact that Emilia Clarke, the actress who plays Daenerys, suffered 2 brain aneurysms during that first season and then wrote about it. She now shared her experience and photos and wrote about. Yeah, she had 2 very near-death experiences and brain surgery during filming that first season. It's quite amazing to hear, as a fact for people who are listening to this who they don't know, to read about her as a human being. It's pretty amazing.
That's really cool. I think she's cooler
and she when she was having the aneurysm and she knew she was having brain damage, she forced herself to speak in Dothraki to make her mind work, so that she could pay attention to what was going on while it was happening, which is pretty nuts. Yeah.
All right. Well,
maybe it's a case for learning Dothraki.
Last but not least, I'll just say that I'm going to be at not All-Star Comic-Con, that's not till June, but AwesomeCon, DC's mega Comic-Con is this week. And I'm going to be hanging out there on Friday. So if you hear this and you want to meet up or you want to record a bit with a bit with me, I'm going to bring the mobile recorder, going to catch up with the All-Star Comic-Con guys, Mike and Kevin, going to find the Take 2 guys, Take 2 Takedown guys. But anybody else, if you want to link up, you know how to find us. Lily, where can people follow you?
At Chichi K. Gomez on Twitter.
Becky?
You can fax me at Paper BK Princess.
And you can follow me at Pancake for Table, and you can follow our podcast stuff at Friday Night Movie or Friday Night Movie Pod. And the music from What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will see you soon. Love you guys.
All right, love you. Bye. Love you, bye. Dun, 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 dun.
I think what I'm gonna do is I so enjoyed watching the 2 back-to-back, and I loved episode 2 so much. I think this Sunday I'm gonna like rewatch episode 2 into episode 3. I think I'm gonna do that every week.
That's good.
Like a repeater, because it was so good. And then inevitably when we watch it with a group, we're like, Mom, Dad, Vanessa, there's so much explaining and commentary going on. We have to pause it like 10 times to explain things to everyone. Mostly Vanessa. Love you, Vanessa.
All right. Later, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.